I'm going to show you today how to ace your next front-end interview. I'm going to do that by showing you some tricks of the trade I've learned over the last 8 years. Also, this is going to be part one of a series where I go through different questions you might see, the most common ones I've seen, and how I would answer those questions or to help you better answer those questions. So stay tuned. Hope this helps out and you enjoy. So first we need to talk about knowing where you're at. Having maintenance practice and a goal is really important. But if you're not getting your first interview, we need to address that issue first before we care about algorithms, before we care about coding exercises, stuff like that. They're still important to maintain, but we want to address the problem bottleneck first. So if you're having trouble with interviews, check out the link below to my video on how to solve that problem. So moving forward, resources I really like before an interview, Glassdoor. You can find out a lot about a company and some of the questions they ask to best prepare yourself. I think it's good to do as much research as you can. You also want to prepare in the most similar environment you can. If you know that they're going to ask the question, you have to code on Google Docs, you want to be practicing on Google Docs. You don't want to be practicing on your IDE or text editor like Visual Studio Code. Algorithms, they're hard. We all know you have to do them. My favorite resource is Interview Cake, which I'll link below. I think it encompasses the mindset around algorithms, not just solving the problems. I know people really like LeetCode, other stuff like that. I've had a lot of success with Interview Cake, really like their product. This is not sponsored by them. I just really enjoy and have recommended this to a lot of other people. Coding exercises. So usually this is the first or second interview you get when you get the job after you talk to the recruiter. We want to be practicing with a friend, speaking out loud, under pressure, having them ask a question that we don't know so that we can practice and get as close to the environment as we possibly can. There's a parable called Parable of the Plank where it kind of sums up this experience really well. We want to replicate our environment for the interview as closely as we can to where we practice. Something I do with people that I mentor is have them do a question every time we get on a call so that they get used to the stress and the pressure. Then the last one is an on-site. With Zoom and remote work. On-sites have kind of changed, but still you want to replicate a long day of Zoom interviews in an environment as best as you can to best prepare. So I just walked you through the overview of kind of the things I would prepare for and high-level strategy of walking through your next interview from beginning to offer. But now let's get into some of the questions that I've spent my career compiling and give you the answers to them so that you can hopefully ace your next interview. So this, I think, is the most comprehensive front-end developer interview question guide that I found in my career that I still come back to and reference. They segmented out by general questions, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, accessibility, testing, performance, networking, coding questions, fun questions, etc. I think this is really good and a good place to start just to make sure you can answer these very well. So what I've done is I've gone through a good portion of these for today to help you pick the ones that I think are the most important, that I've seen the most in my career. And I'm going to focus on general and the JavaScript questions. In future videos, I'm going to go through all of these sections together if you found this valuable. So please let me know in the comments below and like and subscribe, please. So here we go. So general. What is a recent technical challenge you experienced and how did you solve it? When I talk to developers who don't have a lot of experience, what I've noticed is that they don't have something good to pull. How I define a good answer to this question is a hard technical problem to solve that's very generic, but it's not, oh, I made an app work. Oh, I built this feature. It's like something that you really struggled with that isn't Googleable. I think this is it's very trivial. I didn't have this early on in my career, so I contributed to open source. I contributed to ESLint specifically, and I had a ton of really, really hard problems I had to solve, and I had tons of things I could bring up that I was able to answer this question to the interviewer's satisfaction. And so another reason why you should contribute to open source. Which version control systems are you familiar with? I don't like this question, but I want to take this somewhere. You need to know Git better than you know Google Docs. Of course, like which version control system, like Git, that's fine. We all know that. But you need to be comfortable working in a team. So that's rebasing and merging. That's committing, stashing, just working, being very, 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 very comfortable where you can rebase, resolve conflicts, all of these things that you'll get in open source that will prepare you to work on a team. So don't really like this question, but I like the conversation it starts. If you need help with Git, let me know. I can go over some of these topics, but you will get this experience in open source. Name 3 ways to decrease the page load, perceived and actual loading time. This is a really good question to see your experience and the bottlenecks you've solved. Some good answers are asset compression, CSS and JavaScript. Another one is image compression, lazy loading images, and then we can get into more perceived load time improvements with instead of having loading indicators, we load in a framework of the page so the user has something to look at while we load in the background data. Stuff like that. I think this is a really good experience, a really good thing to understand, and it really just comes with experience when you've had performance bottlenecks. You're probably wondering, how do you measure performance and figure these things out? Great question. Frontend Masters has really good courses. There's one on Google Chrome Developer Tools by John Cooperman. This will help you get the skill set and tools behind which every developer needs to know. So go take this course. It's really short. I think it's only $39 a month to belong to Frontend Masters. How do you handle disagreement with your boss or a collaborator? This is a great one. This is kind of the similar flavor to tell me a time when someone disagreed with you in an interview. And you really only get this working on engineering teams. They want to see how you measure cost-benefit analysis. Is this just a style guide issue so that we can resolve with ESLint? How would you handle a disagreement if it was an architecture change? How would you handle a disagreement if you thought this would introduce a bug? A lot of engineering and software development is subjective, and we use patterns that libraries suggest to us to make our jobs easier. But what is our North Star when handling these disagreements with a collaborator? So that's something that you can also experience in open source or working on an engineering team. You had a CTO tell you something needed to get done, but you had other priorities. Who are you going to listen to? How are you going to prioritize these things? It's very important, and that's only experience you can get on your own. Explain the difference between cookie session storage and local storage. So I've been asked this generally, but not. Why I like this one is because we talk about session storage and local storage. Local storage is used very often when we want to hold on to data that might be deleted on page refresh in state management. So this is a really good thing to get used to. Local storage, try using the API. Session storage, storing the session cookie, how long these things take to expire, and how, if you want to see the specifics, we just do MDN and then session storage. Cool. Session storage property, web storage API. Cool. We do that. This is how I would look for it. Containing origin, similar to local storage. The difference, while local storage doesn't expire, data storage is cleared when the page session ends. So MDN, great documentation. This is how I would look up these questions as well. Explain your testing approach. Unit testing in enterprise software is one of the most important and time-consuming things you will do. Very popular test-driven development. A lot of people don't practice that, but we want to know why you unit test certain logic. When do you introduce component testing? I can't spell today, it's okay. When do we write end-to-end specs? When do we write integration specs? There's a really good article I'll link below on the testing pyramid, and you want your unit test to be the base of the pyramid with the most amount. Then you want your integration specs. Then you want your end-to-end specs. And component testing kind of falls into the unit testing arena. But explaining your testing approach is a really good way to understand your level of experience. So expect this in a job interview. Also, this is something that on projects that you're maintaining only on your own and not with other people might be hard to weigh the costs and benefits of this. Again, another reason why if you need experience going to open source, because all of those projects will have tests and you'll have to learn how to write maintainable tests that cover your ass when introducing a feature or fixing a bug. Okay, so we start getting deeper into the web. I like this one a lot. Explain what ARIA and screen readers are and how to make a website accessible. So I think the best part of this question is explain what website accessibility is. So how I would answer that is website accessibility is allowing people with certain disabilities to use the website. For example, if someone might have vision impairment, then we can use screen readers to read what's going on the page. And we do that with certain semantic HTML and HTML tags. You see where this is going, but accessibility is really important. Performance is really important, because if we don't understand web accessibility, then we're limiting the users of our business, which at larger enterprise levels can really bite us in the ass and we could lose a lot of money. So this is a big topic that I think you should go deeper on. Again, Frontend Masters, John Cooperman has a great course on this. And then I actually don't know what area is, what the definition of area MDN. Let's see what they come up with. Accessible, rich internet applications. Great. We learned something today. So again, MDN accessibility, great resource. And then you can see how you write HTML and CSS affects the browser. And then I just wanted to add another question. This is a super, I almost fell out of my chair. This is a super open-ended question that I think is important for engineers to think about. So engineering is a resource cost in a business. So I would expect some questions to come up. Cost-benefit analysis of you refactoring code. How do we measure certain things? How do we make iterative progress? This comes later on in your experience, maybe 3 to 5 years, but it's something to be thinking about. For example, how does writing a test affect the bottom line of the business? Well, writing the test is a cost of engineering hours. Maintaining the test is a cost. Running the test on a deployed environment is also a cost. And then, all of those costs give us confidence that our code won't break if something changes. So then we have to decide, okay, how many tests do we want? Because we can't test everything all the time, and then that's why we have the testing pyramid. Something that I'm super passionate about, and I would ask in an interview, because it gets easy as engineers to engineer for engineering's sake. So that's all I'm going to talk about today. Coming up, we got some JavaScript gotchas, some more JavaScript questions, HTML, CSS, more web stuff. I hope this helped you understand more on how to best prepare for your next interview and to ace it. Some answers to some common questions that I've seen over my career that I think are important for you to know. Coming up, I am going to walk through some more questions. Let me know if you have any comments or questions on what we talked about or topics coming up, HTML, JavaScript, performance, stuff like that. Really hope you enjoyed it. All the resources are in the description section. Please like and subscribe and share with your friends. And again, always here to help you out. Let me know what I can do for you. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.